Welcome to the KZGN News. Today we'll bring you news from the Ridgecrest Planning Commission, an update on median art on North China Lake Boulevard, news from the Naval Aero Weapons Center, gas prices, and much more.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
Thanks for joining us for the news. I'm Tom Wicknick. Here's news affecting Ridgecrest and the Indian Wells Valley. Last evening, the Ridgecrest Planning Commission held their regular meeting. On their agenda, they handled the following items. During public hearings, the commissioners decided pre-abatement public hearings provided by Fred Booth, Ridgecrest Police Department Code Enforcement Officer. He provided evidence to the commission to approve the abatement of these code violations. The first was to abate a property at 112 West Barbara. This was a residence with a terrible vegetation overgrowth. There was also a non-operating vehicle. The property owner appeared to fight the abatement. She said she has done some work and done all that she thinks is necessary. Two members of the public gave comment about how bad this property is. The code enforcement officer said that he and the county fire marshal both agreed much more needs to be done to make this home not a fire hazard. The fire inspector agreed that condition of the residence is a fire threat to the owner and surrounding residences. The code enforcement officer asked for abatement by October 8th. The commission decided to just extend the due date to October 15th. The property owner was ordered to clean up everything and then get approval from the fire inspector and the city code enforcement officer. If that is not accomplished by October 15th, then the city would do the abatement and charge to the homeowner for all the costs. The second was to abate a property at 230 South Locust. This was a property completely run with trash and debris. The entire backyard and side yards are full of trash stacked almost fence high in some areas. The trash has even flowed out onto the front driveway. No public testimony was offered on this abatement. The commission approved the abatement and ordered it completed by October 8th, or the city would do it and charge the property owner. The third item is to abate property at 507 West Wyman. This was another residential property that is not being maintained. The front and backyards have all dead vegetation. Additionally, there is a buildup of trash in the backyard. Again, the commission approved the abatement and ordered it completed by October 8th, or the city would do it and charge the property owner. And the fourth and final presentation is to abate property at 237 North Sunland. This property also was unmaintained for many years. It is full of high-growth dead vegetation and dead tall trees. The trees are not only posing a danger of falling down, they are also a fire hazard. If a flame hit the trees on this lot, they would go up in a flash and spread to the home, and maybe even spread to adjoining homes. Again, the commission approved the abatement and ordered it completed by October 8th, or the city would do it and charge the property owner. So that is the four properties being presented to the commission for abatement. Abatement means that the property owner usually is given a final attempt to correct the violations. If they don't do it voluntarily, then the city will contract for the abatement. Property owners really should do it themselves, as it's usually cheaper than having the city contract for the work. When done and paid for by the city, the property owner is billed for the costs. If they don't pay, then the city usually attaches a lien to the property tax roll. Then the city will get paid when the property sells eventually. Next, the commission considered a conditional use permit 15-03, a request by Sean Baker Construction to erect a 120-foot Wi-Fi tower on M1 zone property located at 1514 North Inyo Street. This project is to provide high-speed internet access for the area on the north end of town. While the commissioners generally commented in support of the project, they tabled the decision until their next meeting. The Navy was asked for comment on the project, but the person in charge of these type reviews had been gone all last week and was unable to study the proposal. A Navy rep was there and commented the person that does those reviews will be back next week and would be able to study the project and make an opinion of the potential conflicts with the base. The final main agenda item was a discussion and follow-up report regarding Sierra Sands Unified School District Traffic Mitigation Plan for the new Murray Middle School. The school district will be building a new Murray Middle School adjacent to Burroughs High School along East Drummond Road. Staff gave a report that the city is requiring some street improvements, that they believe they are necessary for traffic concerns. However, the school district designers don't agree with the city's assessment. The real problem is that the school district doesn't have the funds to pay for the road improvements. so the city and school district are still in negotiations on how to solve the problem. The school district intends on a groundbreaking for this new school in late October. So no action was taken at this time by the Commission. It will be brought back for a decision later after more talks are completed and a solution found for this traffic problem. Also in city news, the City Media and Art Committee met at City Hall yesterday afternoon. The meeting was well attended with the artists, engineers, Caltrans employees, and a good public turnout. The permit process was presented to the people. Staff and Caltrans seem to have worked out a good streamlined permit process. The Caltrans people answered many questions on the engineering requirements. It seems they have provided an easy solution to engineering standards for just this artwork. Some folks were trying to figure a way to get some art installed by the Petroglyph Festival. While that will be a chore, it is possible. There are 2 permits for the project. The main project permit has to be submitted by the city. The council will take up that permit at their first meeting in October. Then the individual artists and sponsors will have to apply for their own permit. The city and state have waived any cost for processing permits. Right now, 15 of the 18 locations have been reserved. There are a couple more openings at the north end of China Lake Boulevard. Stay tuned for news out of China Lake when we come back. Now in news from China Lake, we get this story from Stacy Bailey in the NOC WD Public Affairs Office. Naval Air Warfare Center Weapons Division engineers and scientists recently came together to update the Joint Standoff Weapon telemetry system by reusing existing inventory, avoiding millions of dollars in cost to the Navy to develop a new system. The first production unit of a modernized telemetry instrumentation kit was completed at NOC WD on May 4th. This updated system transmits information about the weapon during captive carriage and free flight while giving operators the ability to safely self-terminate the weapon should it go off course. It was a pretty challenging project that touched on a lot of disciplines. Project lead Mark Hall said, "One of the great things about developing the unit at China Lake is that I could go out to different groups on the base and get all the resources I needed from idea inception and testing to production. That's what capability you probably won't find at any other installation." When a critical component became obsolete, the first thought was to develop an entirely new system. Instead, members of NOC WD's Technical Program Office, the Airborne Instrumentation Systems Division, and others used the existing TIK inventory and off-the-shelf commercial hardware to update the design originally conceived in the early 1990s. We had some mechanical engineers, the structures group, and the machine shop design and make the mount for us, while members of the Airborne Instrumentation Systems Division completed the harness design. Dan Warren, JSOW TPO Director, said, "We were able to switch out existing plugs and wires for the new hardware, making it a very simple electrical fix. Over a 14-month time frame, the NOC WD team completed in-house design and qualification testing for a little over $1 million, much less than the potential cost of starting from scratch a new system. Production of this unit speaks to the capabilities and potential projects at NOC WD. This project really sets the groundwork for us to be able to leverage the base's capabilities to perform rapid development and delivery, reuse of equipment, and save money," Hall said. It provides a springboard by supporting JSOW's efforts to update the existing telemetry kit and add additional capability to address current and future needs. According to Warren, the plan is to start by building 35 units and eventually modernizing the entire inventory as needed. The first 3 completed items were sent to Raytheon for installation into JSOW C-1 captive air training missile test vehicles to be flown at China Lake later this year. The C-1 will provide a highly desired fleet training aid for use after JSOW C-1. The first network-enabled weapons entered service in 2016. Now here's another story from NOC WD by Brian Wolfcoat of the NOC WD Public Affairs Office. Big things are happening in the world of electronic warfare at Naval Air Warfare Center Weapons Division, Point Mugu. NOC WD is bulking up on its electronic warfare capabilities to make Raytheon's next-generation jammer the most effective device in the Navy's electronic warfare arsenal, relayed Jeff Anderson, technical lead for jammer technique optimization, late August aboard Naval Air Base, Ventura County. The next-generation jammer is exactly the tool that we need to continue supporting the warfighter on the next level, Anderson said. This new system is essentially software loaded, which means that our air crews can more readily use the wide spectrum of electronic countermeasures developed here at NOC WD. According to Anderson, the NGJ gives operators the ability to load a broader variety of higher capacity of electronic attacks with ease and flexibility. It used to take up to 90 days for a contractor to manufacture the design of one of these application-specific integrated circuit chips. Now we can program our jammer to go against it within hours. Around the 1990s, jamming technique types were burnable into unmodifiable disks. Previous mission preparation required operators to load a limited number of parameters for a fixed set of jamming waveform types into the aircraft's AOQ-99 jamming pod based on inferences made by analysts studying the adversary's capabilities. Radar technologies are quickly advancing. They're faster and smarter, sensing interference on other frequencies and automatically switching to frequencies and waveforms with less interference. Keeping up with those improvements can be challenging, but the JATO group, in conjunction with JATO personnel at the Naval Research Lab and Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab, specializes in jamming technology and other electronic warfare methods. Raytheon reports active testing for NGJ at China Lake, California, and Weapons Division's authorities say there are joint plans to integrate the new design into the EA-18G Growler, a variant of the FA-18 Super Hornet. So that brings us up to date on some of the fine working going on out by the Navy and China Lake. In a call for volunteers needed, the people coordinating the Veteran Stand Down need volunteer help on the day of the event. The event is this Friday, September 25th. Last year, the event helped hundreds of veterans get help for services they need. This year, over 60 care providers are participating in the event. The sheer size of the event and the numbers of people coming requires a lot of volunteer help. They need more help. If you are willing to take just a little time to come help the veterans event, they need you. These are people that asked the call from Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam needs you. Now, they need you. To volunteer, call Nick or Carol Coy right away. They can be reached at 760-608-1484 or 760-608-9251. Now in KZGN continuous effort to provide news and information to Vastor, here are today's gas prices for Ridgecrest and some surrounding areas. Well, since my last report, gas prices locally didn't change much, but we do have two areas that went down a little and finally broke the $3 figure. As of this morning, Ridgecrest is ranging from $3.05 to $3.39. Lancaster is ranging from $2.89 to $3.39. The LA Valley area is $2.95 to $3.17, and the Bishop area $3.51 to $3.75. We have one station coming in at the $3.05 figure and 4 stations at the $3.09 amount. I hope we'll see the breaking of the $3 figure here real soon. Tune in Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for updates. We at KZGN always suggest you shop locally to support our local economy. Remember, when you pay any sales tax out of town, you are helping those cities pave their streets instead of here. Stay tuned for weather and sports when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. Let's go to Keith for the weather.
Thank you, Tom. From the National Weather Service, the southwest will dry out as remnants of Tropical Depression 16E moves northeastward into the plains. The remnants will bring numerous showers and thunderstorms to the region. Heavy rain will be possible in Nebraska, South Dakota, and Minnesota. Temperatures across the nation. Carolinas came in at 78, Georgia 75, Arkansas 84, Northern Texas 75, Arizona 83, and Los Angeles at 77. For our forecast here in the IWV, tonight, clear with a low around 67, southwest wind 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 20. Thursday will be sunny and hot with a high near 100. East-southeast wind 5 miles per hour. Thursday night, mostly clear with a low around 72, west wind 5 miles per hour. On Friday, sunny and hot with a high near 101, west wind 5 miles per hour. Friday night, mostly clear with a low around 72, south wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. On Saturday, sunny with a high near 99, west wind 5 miles per hour. Saturday night, mostly clear with a low around 70, west-southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour with gusts as high as 15. On Sunday, sunny with a high near 97, south-southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday night, mostly clear with a low around 68. West-southwest wind, 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 25. And on Monday, sunny with a high near 94. Southwest wind, 5 to 10 miles per hour. And that is your forecast for the IWV. Now back to Tom and the rest of the KZGN News.
Thanks, Keith. And let's go to Tom Heck with sports.
A very pleasant Wednesday afternoon, and we'll start with the local sports note. Burroughs High School football in action on Friday night. They're going to try to get that first W of the year. They'll be over at Barstow, 7 o'clock game. If you can't get out there, you can tune on the radio, 12:40 a.m., starting at 6:45 with the pregame. Now let's take a look at Major League Baseball. Things winding down. Fun time of the year. 9 games or 10 games left depending on the team. Tonight, the Dodgers will take on Arizona. Last night, Arizona 8, the Dodgers nothing, 2 in a row for Arizona, 4 losses in a row for the Dodgers. That compiled with a Giants win. They beat San Diego 4-2 last night. Giants now down by 6 games. And just think if the Giants wouldn't have just totally gone into self-destruction over the past couple weeks, what that race might be. Those two teams play each other the last weekend of the season in San Francisco. All right, the Angels 4 and Houston 3 last night down in Texas. The two teams will play again today. Now the Angels find themselves, as they woke up this morning, 2.5 games behind the wild card second spot, which is the Houston Astros, and only 1/2 game behind Minnesota, who was the other team fighting for that last wild card position. Minnesota won last night. They beat Cleveland 3-1 in the Twin Cities. And Minnesota right now, the Angels trying to catch the Houston Astros. Houston will have to play Texas this weekend for 3 games down in Houston. So that's going to be very interesting. The Angels will come home to play against the A's starting Friday night. In that Angel game last night, Mike Trout and Luis Pujols hit home runs. Most of the scoring for the Angels done early. They hung on for the win. Texas, the league leader, they're 4.5 games over the Angels. They beat the A's 8-6 up in Oakland. Pittsburgh over Colorado. And Chicago won again. The first 20-game winner, Jake Arrieta, beat the Brewers last night. The Cubs and Pirates are the 2 wild card teams right now in the National League. Now the St. Louis Cardinals, who have led the Central Division all season long, find themselves only 2.5 games in front of a very hot Pittsburgh team. So that could change also. Who would have thought it? But very interesting. The Cubs only 4.5 games out themselves from the league leaders. Okay, Atlanta beat the Mets and Baltimore beat Washington, so Washington cannot gain ground. They're 6.5 back. Those two teams, Washington and the Mets, end their season in New York for 3 games. So the goal for teams right now is to get a spot where at least you have a chance at your own destiny towards the end. And the Yankees beat the Blue Jays last night in Toronto. So that lead down to 2.5 games. So things could tighten up here the last 10 games. All right, Ohio State, Michigan State, Ole Miss, TCU, and Baylor, all undefeated. Those are your top 5 teams in the NCAA. Number 9, UCLA, and they will play at U of A this weekend down in Tucson. And 18 now is USC. USC dropped from 6 to 18 after they lost to Stanford at home, 37-27 last Saturday night. Now USC will find themselves in Tempe playing ASU. That'll be a very good football game to watch. And a sad note in the baseball world, Yogi Berra, a very colorful player, colorful person, had all kinds of great sayings and very humorous man, and a very good catcher in his day. He played with the New York Yankees, played on the World Series championship teams, and caught a couple of perfect games, and just also manager and coach for a long time in baseball. Died the other day at age 90. Yogi Berra, he will be missed. Always a Yogi Berraism to lighten things up. When it came to great comments and memorable moments, he sure had an awful lot. One of the true ambassadors for baseball. Again, he was 90 years old. That's your sports for this Wednesday evening. Have a very pleasant evening. I am Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. All of us at KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We all thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only locally owned community TV station. And stay with us for Ridgecrest Talk, coming up next.